Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
You know, when you find that show you love, you gotta get behind it. And guess what? If you're within the sound of my voice, that must mean you are in the seats with, once more, as always, my name is Dave Voigt, and I'm the host of this podcast where we sit down with a wide-ranging variety of entertainment industry professionals and we pick their brain about current projects through the industry, how they got started, and so very much more, in a light and in a conversational fashion. And you know, if you like how we do things around here, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you do, because let's face it, you're listening right now. And if you are listening, hit subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Give us the old 5-star rating on your podcast provider of choice. We're available pretty much everywhere. Places like Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Google. Plus, we archive every single one of our episodes over at our In the Seats YouTube channel. So if you can give us a like and subscribe there as well, we'd absolutely appreciate it. Also, don't hesitate to check us out on social media. We're on the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Letterboxd, the TikTok, the Threads, and probably a few other places too. At In the Seats for all sorts of fun updates. And finally, and I do dare say most importantly, please pay us a visit over at In the Seats, intheseats.ca for all the latest and greatest from the world of film, television, basically the moving image at large. Because guess what? If we love to watch it and write about it and talk about it, we love it even more when you come by and read about it and listen about it. So please do us that supreme kindness and come on by and pay us a visit. On this episode, we're back into the world of Special Ops Lioness, which is available on DVD and Blu-ray and on-demand platforms now from our friends over at Paramount Pictures Home Entertainment. It's a great show. I mean, it's from the Taylor Sheridan universe. It is an absolute spy thriller ride, and it really sort of paints a bit of a genuine picture on just sort of the a matter-of-fact sort of nature of the war on terror. There isn't necessarily good guys and bad guys, there just kind of is. And we get these really unique characters existing in this world, and it's really compelling to watch play out. It's a very well written, and it's a fantastic show. And we had the unique pleasure sitting down one of the stars of the show, one only Dave Annable, to talk about his experiences on the show and getting involved and working with this fantastic ensemble and just being a part of the Sheridan-averse, as it were. But if that's a word, if it's not, I'm coining it. It's the Taylor Sheridan-averse, because we keep getting these amazing, amazing shows coming from the mind of Taylor Sheridan, who is quite a talented guy. He used to be an acting coach, believe it or not. But I mean, hey, who am I to judge? But I mean, good TV is good TV, and as much as it seems like we're drowning in it, it's also kind of hard to find too, so appreciate it when we have it. But if you want to go check out Special Ops Lioness, Season 1 is on DVD and Blu-ray and on-demand platforms now. But first, enjoy our talk with Dave Annable, because between you and me, it's a pretty darn good one. All right, well, Dave, obviously, first off, man, just thanks so much for the time today. I really appreciate this.
Oh, thank you. I'll do anything for another Dave.
There we go. Daves of the world unite. Absolutely.
That's it. This is our meeting, buddy. We're taking over.
Now, I mean, I guess my first question is, like, I got to find out, like, how you were involved with the show. Like, was it something simple as Taylor going, hey, I like you over here, I think you really work well over here kind of scenario?
Yep. That's exactly. Taylor was like, hey, you want to be Zoe Saldana's husband? Yeah, sure. Sounds great. No, it was, I was doing a season 4 flashback of Yellowstone, popping in there. And while I was there, he said, you know, I'm working on this show and I have you in mind for Neil, Zoe Saldana's husband. And I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, like done. Before I even read the script, was even more blown away. And then it went away for like 3 years with COVID and I guess scheduling. And then somebody took over Lioness from Taylor. And I had a friend who was like, oh, my boyfriend just auditioned for Lioness, for Neil. And I was like, whoa, wait a second. I was like, oh, I gotta make a call here. What's happening? And Taylor, by chance, I guess had just taken back over the show. And we spoke and he was like, it's yours, you know? And I could not be more grateful. I'm just so happy to be a part of his world, and I love Neil, and I think that character could be very one-dimensional, being a spouse of the main star, but he has fleshed out a real human with with trouble, with issues, and obviously with stuff that he's great at, but stuff that he's not. And the relationship with Zoe, I think, is written so well, and then his relationship with his daughters. I mean, it's a real gift. It really is. Nothing else to say.
No, I mean, I'm curious, like obviously coming off the big run with Brothers and Sisters, like how does it feel to have someone like Taylor to be like, no, I like you, let's use you, like someone who's
Uh,
producing as he does?
yeah,
Because I've got to imagine it's coming off a big run like that. I can imagine it like jumping back into the water a little bit can be trepidatious.
Oh, absolutely. And I had done a bunch of shows that went one season
Yeah.
and, one and done. And, when Taylor called for Yellowstone, basically I got the audition and I passed on it because I was like, I'm from New York. I'm not a cowboy. I was like, they're going to be able to see right through me. And Taylor called my wife because he used to coach my wife. And he goes, what the fuck is your husband doing? He's passing on auditioning for Yellowstone. And he's like, tell him to put himself on tape today. And she hangs up. She goes, Dave, we're gonna put you on tape for Yellowstone today. I was like, all right, let's go. And then I ended up getting it, obviously, and to be able to be asked back in any sort of form of this business is a real compliment. But from Taylor and as an actor, to be called back to be in his arsenal is just incredibly great. I'm grateful for sure.
Now, I mean, something about this show that I really love is just, especially for these characters like Neil and everyone else, it's not necessarily pro rah rah or negative or anything like that. It's
Yeah.
just sort of dealing with the realities of the existence and be having an existence in this world. And I mean, was that something that kind of stood out for you early on, especially when you were reading the first scripts?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the thing which I love most about Taylor, his writing is besides the characters. I think he's so good at creating these real people and real moments. But he's not trying to push an agenda. He doesn't have his agenda. He's like, hey, you got to believe what I believe. He's always posing questions, or conversation starters. And I don't think this show is any different. And I think just even the relationship with Zoe, right? That she's away working and Neil is home and he's got the kids and he's the head of surgery and he's got all these other things. Taylor, when we spoke about the relationship with Zoe and I, was like, I don't want the audience guessing whether they're going to stay together or get a divorce, right? He's like, they are committed to each other. They know the stakes from when they met in college, whatever that backstory is, and they've agreed to it. Now, I do think, as the season goes on, you start to see cracks, right? It's not easy, but
Yeah.
that sort of maturity in this modern day relationship where they really are still supporting one another was a beautiful thing to read. And I think Neil understands the stakes, and that's incredibly hard on him, let alone trying to help kids with cancer. I mean, I
Yeah,
think
for
it's
sure.
there's a lot on his plate. So I'm excited if we're fortunate enough to get a season 2 to sort of dive more into those cracks of what that could be, how hard it is.
No, I mean, I've got to say, like, because I mean, obviously, you weren't necessarily having to run to the desert and do any of that kind of stuff. It definitely
Yeah.
felt like almost. Did you feel like you got cheated a little bit, having to be sort of the guy back at home rather than not do any of the
Yeah,
acting?
I gotta be honest. Yeah, no, just for the fact that like I'm a dude, like I wanted to like put the guns on and stuff. Like it looked a lot of fun. And I remember I got the call, after I got it. It was like I was like, "Where are we shooting?" They're like, "Oh, we're shooting in Baltimore, Morocco, and Mallorca." Dave, you're gonna be in Baltimore, and I was like, "Oh, I love
Nothing
Baltimore."
against Baltimore, but yeah,
Yeah, but it's not Spain, so yeah. But that being said, when I was kind of Joe fan, just watching the show as it came out, I was
yeah.
just floored by how good the acting was in the show. How I read the scripts, I knew what was happening, but I forgot what was happening. So I was on the edge of my seat, and the drama and just the performances. I mean, I was just such a fan. It was very cool to sort of be in a show but weirdly not see any of the other show within the show. So it was very cool for me as an audience member for sure.
No, I love that you can kind of flip that switch, and I mean, it's a weird business we're all in because so many of us were obviously fans first
Yeah,
before we
yeah.
got involved, and I mean, to be able to do that is kind of rare because I mean a lot of people I talk to won't necessarily be able to have that disconnect. And obviously I see that Leon poster behind you, epic by the way. I love
Oh
it.
yeah. Oh, awesome. All
That,
right.
that is
Right.
a
Yeah.
fantastic one. But I mean, I'm curious, as an actor, how does sort of the fan in you kind of inform you as a performer going forward?
That's a great. Well, I mean, once, first of all, when I did Yellowstone, I already knew how great Taylor was, right? But like Taylor wasn't the Taylor with 7 shows on Paramount
Right,
Plus when
right.
Lioness came around, right? And then, you had this cast of Morgan Freeman, Nicole Kidman, Zoe Saldana, Laysla, Michael Kelly. And I'm like, oh man, this is real. Like this is the big leagues. So, you kind of get those like, okay, I'm in the World Series, right? This is the nerves. And then, the other part to that is when you're acting across from somebody that's that good, it makes it so much easier because you're playing tennis, you're just back and forth with these great actors. And, fortunately, our brothers and sisters, I had a very similar experience, with Sally and Callista and, Red Band Society was Quit, but it was Octavia. It just is so like, they're so good that, it was cool to be here and be asked back by Taylor because I did feel like a sense of belonging. Like I'm here for a reason. He's so good at casting as well, like choosing who he wants to play his parts. That I have to knock away all my insecurities and trust and know that he knows exactly what I can do. He's seen what I can do, and he chose me for this. So that's a very cool feeling. Like when you step on the set.
Well, I've got to imagine it helps with just to sort of diffuse that imposter syndrome and just sort of revel in the joy of, like you say, playing tennis, having that back and forth. Because, I mean, again, I can imagine you could look at a call sheet and be like, oh, I'm on a call sheet with Nicole Kidman. Who's punking me? But it's like, no,
Yeah.
it's just the back and forth. It's your actors on set and you're sort of in the moment.
Yeah, there's a great scene. I think it's in 5 or 6. It's with Nicole. But when she comes into the hospital, it's me, Zoe, and a great actor, Michael Toe, is playing the doctor. And him and I had this like great moment, like where it's a 4-person
Right.
conversation. They walked away, we're like, "Yo, where are we?" I was like, "This is awesome," and it was very cool. And Nicole is such a she's got it. She walks on to set like she's got it. And same with Zoe. It was very cool to see and be around. And again, like you're saying, you go from being a fan. I mean, obviously, I'm a fan of all their work, and then, you're standing across from them, or in Zoe's case, playing her husband, and it's a really, I feel incredibly grateful. And it is hard to eventually get to that place where you're like, oh, I belong here. And I
Sure.
think that the Taylor of it all really helped me because again, I'm back.
I
Anytime you
love
get
it.
asked back to something,
I love it. Now, I mean, just put a bow on this. It's a silly question, but it's one I like to ask. Like,
great.
can you think back to the younger days? Like, was there a show or a movie or a performance that had sort of the light bulb go off in young Dave's head and said, what the hell, I want to be an actor?
Yeah, and it's very clear for me. It's Michael J. Fox and Family Ties.
Love it.
So when I grew up, we watched Family Ties, and I was just like, I love this guy. I love what he's doing. I didn't even know anything about choices or none of that, right? But I was like, he's making me feel something, making me laugh, making me sad, and I was like, that's something that I would love to do one day. Never thought it would fucking happen, but it did, and to this day, it's still as clear as day to me. It's Michael J. Fox.
Well, I love that, man. I mean, you're right, man. Seeing him like sort of slide in as Alex and own the scene, it's like, it's beautiful.
He
It's one of
just
those
had
things
he
that's
popped.
rarely been recreated, man.
Yeah, I don't think it can, and it's just one of those beautiful things, and obviously, Back to the Future came out, so all
Yeah.
these things, and it was just I was team Michael J. Fox and still am for sure.
Well, from one Dave to another, man, keep up the good work. And, just like, again, thank you so much for the time today, man. I appreciate
Oh,
it.
thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, and hopefully
Always,
we get to do this again next year.
for
Let's
sure.
let's hope. All
Yeah,
right.
fingers and toes, man. Absolutely. Bye,
All
everyone.
right. Well, thank you, Dave. Appreciate you.
Bye. And don't forget to visit our friends over at Bay Street Video for all your DVD, Blu-ray rental, or purchasing needs this summer, as they are still open for curbside and some mailing delivery as well. Over at 1172 Bay Street, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, you can give them a call at 416-964-9088. That's 416-964-9088. Or send them an email at baystreetvideoto@gmail.com for any of your DVD and Blu-ray needs.